Believe in the fight game.
Hello, everyone. This is Charles Yao with Believe in the Fight Game on the Believe Podcast Network, Los Angeles' #1 sports podcast network, the only place with a show for every team in every sport in LA and more. We believe in sports. Do you believe?
Okay.
Look at you, Coach Dawna. One verbal command and boom. Dogs are chill.
It's threat. It's all threats. They know they don't get any treats.
Are you like a tough dog mom?
No, I'm a fucking sucker.
Really?
Yes.
Dude,
whatever they want, they get.
I'm shocked you even brought that energy. Because normally, if you remember being out here in LA, the dogs like are your children. They're
they're totally my babies. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm a sucker. So, I'll be like, no, don't do that. And then they'll give you the big puppy dog eyes. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Oh, okay. That's cool though, man. I always wanted to ask, are you mixed?
Mm-hmm.
White and Latin?
Mexican. Yeah, exactly. I'm Mexican and white. Even though recently, the older I get, the more my eyes get hooded.
Uh-huh.
And I get Asian a lot. People for
really?
the last couple of years, everybody thinks I'm Asian. It just happened the other day. But my favorite story is up in LA, I teach self-defense at this Jewish summer camp.
Sounds much better, by the way.
Okay, awesome. At this Jewish summer camp. And this adorable little Chinese kid is always at this camp. And they're like, we don't really know if he's Jewish, but he shows up every year and we love him. So we just let him stay. So he walks up to me this last summer. And I was standing outside. I was wearing a rash guard, waiting for them to, I'm part of their electives. So I was standing outside waiting for the electives to change and the kids were having a break and a snack. And he comes and he walks up to me and he looks me up and down. And he looks me in my face. He was like, are you a Chinese? And I was like, no. Are you a Chinese? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. And then he just walked away.
But this interview is definitely about you, but just to seg a little bit, like I've had zero luck with Asian women, though I'm half Filipino, half Chinese, but all the girls I've dated have been either mixed, whether if it's Latin white, like from Texas for some reason, or mixed blacks or mixed Asians. And then the only purebreds I've dated are like Latins. So
That's funny.
So I can detect if someone's Latin or mixed Latin.
You got the Latin dar?
Yeah, kind of.
Like your version of gaydar?
Right,
Latin
exactly. Yeah. Did you ever have to encounter like identity crisis when you were younger?
No, I grew up in Los Angeles. I grew up just east of LA in a small town called Monrovia.
Okay.
And everybody there, I didn't know it was odd that people dated, like everybody in my school just mixed up with whoever. Like it was like whoever's the cool guy, that's who everybody wanted to date. There were these I think that like the 4 most popular boys happened to be like the gamut of races. Like one of them was Latin and one of them was Filipino and one of them was black and one of them was white. And those were just the cool guys to date. Like it wasn't like, oh my God, you're dating a black guy. You were like, oh my God, you're dating him. You know what I mean? So I grew up where everybody dated everybody. Everybody was mixed. Everybody I grew up with was mixed with something. And then we moved to Arizona when I was like 16 or 17. And still out there, everybody kind of mixed it up, came back and made friends with a whole bunch of actors from East LA, like in this like studio or theater group. And they were like, so weirded out at how I was like, yeah, I've dated like Asian guys and black guys and white guys and whatever. And then one of the girls goes, wait, where are you from? And I told her and she was like, yeah, that explains it.
Yeah, the studio where I interviewed Eddie.
Yeah.
Is at K-Gem in Monrovia.
Yeah.
So, that's why I like when you brought up Monrovia. Right now, it feels really conservative. I don't mind the
Monrovia feels conservative?
Yeah. Well, at least that part where I was at. I didn't see any.
Where exactly is it?
I guess you get off on Mountain. Off the 210.
Was it north of the 210?
You are eastbound on the 210 coming from Glendale.
Yep, and then you go north.
Exactly. And really close to the mountain.
So here's the thing about that. Monrovia looks like small town USA, and it definitely looks conservative. And I'm sure there's conservative people there. There's conservative people everywhere.
Sure.
But yeah, I would say it's so diverse and so mixed up that I can't. I mean, this was also 25 plus years ago. So, but like, it just wasn't a big deal. Like everybody, when you were like, oh yeah, I date Latin girls. Well, yeah, of course you did, because that's, you know what I mean. Like, everybody dated whoever. Like there was never any issues about any of that.
And then you end up marrying a Gonzales.
I ended up marrying a Gonzales, so I'm Gonzales. Yeah.
but in that case, like I really want to paint the Angelino plight, even though you're now a San Diegan. Congratulations!
I will forever be an Angelino at heart. I just have to live in San Diego right now. Right.
Totally. Because a lot of people, I've shown you that project behind the scenes that I'm working with the network. It's really the story of people who train in jiu-jitsu, right? So, for you, we share a lot of common things after doing a shit ton of research. I used to do VO in Asia, in the Philippines and Singapore. I wanted to cover that. I wanted to cover also a lot of the plight of you in the process of being an actor.
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
Right? That this shit ton of stories. Because I know I only like to interview people who are multi-layered. So I mean that as
I'm
a compliment.
definitely an onion.
Yeah, well, with a lot of pineapple, with a lot of Cheetos. You have like this spectrum of experience, which is cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Like, are you still doing the VO stuff?
I am. That's a super competitive field, and now that because of the coronavirus, everything is done from home, so I'm having to not redo because I just moved down here, but I'm having to do my whole studio now because they want certain types of connections and lines. So I'm having to have a dedicated line put in and make sure that I have all the right equipment. Source Connect.
Oh, okay.
Just that's the industry standard right now. And I do have to be aware of, I have 4 dogs, but what's really interesting is right before you and I jumped on, long story short, we're not recording right now, are we?
Oh, we've been recording since.
Okay, good. Okay. So I won't put too much out there, but, so I've realized recently how much I miss podcasting.
Okay.
And, I, through, online searches and a whole bunch of stuff, I found a company that's looking for a podcast host to talk to people over a gamut of subjects, not just one thing, which is what I did before with Mat Therapy. I only talked about jiu-jitsu and MMA and all that kind of stuff. But this possible opportunity is like interviewing people from the spectrum all over the world, like you name it. And that I'm like super excited about. So I'm also like, hey, can I set up my studio in a podcasting studio so that I'll be able to record with people? Like I've, figure out what to do with this wall behind me. I haven't done anything with it yet, or if I should at all, for sound. Nice. Yeah.
So yes, I just bought Duvetine. So
I'm definitely wanting to get back. I'm a little bit more in control of my time out here, not 100%, but I am a little bit more in control of my time because I'm not in LA traffic so much. So I definitely want to get back into the podcasting world like I was with Mat Therapy.
Yeah. And the interesting thing with people who like to talk, VO and podcast hosts, there's an awesome plight what's happening due to this fucking pandemic.
Right.
I won't mention his name, but I talked to a guy who hosts a show on NPR. Like he puts in his own.
Which one? I listen to so many of them. No, you have to tell me now.
How I built this.
Okay. Okay.
He sends microphones to.
Oh, interesting.
So that way the audio is dope and clear.
Yeah.
Because that's critical for you and I. We hear it.
Absolutely.
That's why I was like, you know what? Fuck. Dawna's a baddie. She already knows the technical stuff. I know she's been through the gamut, because if no disrespect, if I interview an 8 to 5er,
sure,
the story's different. There's no this.
There's no hustle. Yeah.
Just know that, and it's a good time, and I will forever be like a supporter. If ever you need, I don't know what I can do and help you with, but
I might have tons of questions I mean, who knows if this thing pans out, I'll probably have tons of questions because I'm only used to podcasting myself, not other people. Like it
right.
never occurred to me that I might need to send mics to somebody or something like that.
Sure. Or even like I was with British Broadcasting,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm satellite trained. So what I did was I combined both. So there's a methodology behind, even if it's not for you, it's good to know what other methods of interviewing.
Yeah, for sure.
And radio is different from podcasting. And then after doing that TV network stuff, I had to relearn the TV method, which is timeline. So, but yeah, I'm really excited.
Right now you're doing podcasting or you're doing satellite radio?
I'm doing 3. 2 are online, and then one is podcasting. This will for sure be played on Believe Fight Network, and I'm trying to find which host wants to play this on satellite.
Nice.
But
I was just reading about Believe.
Yeah, I can. We'll talk later.
Okay.
We'll talk later because I want to make sure I hook up folks, even though if we're only acquainted. But I've interviewed other people, like this whole acting thing where they just can't handle discipline and truth. So I interviewed someone in the jiu-jitsu world.
Sure.
And I could tell they belong to that stand-up comedy world where they're just angry and they're not going to make it because...
Oh my gosh, I can name like 3 people who I think you might have talked to in the jiu-jitsu world that fit that. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So with this, I always got the vibe from you when I was going to train with Scott Ross. You're like, hey, I'll work with you. So those small gestural things are big to me,
Oh, thank you.
So back to the interview.
Yeah, back to the interview.
Right. Like, about acting, what was an example of like, from what I've seen from your, you also did independent route also.
Sure. Well, that was with on-screen acting. I can definitely say that I was just never able to get any traction. I tried to go the traditional routes. I was in an acting class for about 10 years. I went to all the casting director workshops, and I couldn't get any traction. And I don't know what it was, if it was me, if it was just timing, or, the world of acting is just so competitive that I don't really have an answer. So then I kind of gave up for a little while.
Did you get any SAG cards?
Oh yeah. I'm a member of SAG.
Okay.
And, but like I never booked any big jobs. Like you might see where you'll see me is in the background of like a couple movies or very like small, tiny roles in like I was in Snoop Dogg's Hood of Horror.
No.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that. Nothing that ever was a substantial role, but stuff that made me qualify for the union. So I'm definitely a part of the union. And then I found jiu-jitsu, and it was this amazing thing that was an outlet, and it's creative, and that it's a drug that I've never experienced before. There's nothing like it. Lifting weights doesn't give you the same type of adrenaline rush. I did Muay Thai and boxing, a lot of fun, still not for me, not the same type of adrenaline rush. So when I discovered jiu-jitsu, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I was super into it. So for a couple years, I was able to focus on just training, and then that's when voiceover came along. I went and took a voiceover class, and it just kind of happenstance. One of the guys that I met in class I became friends with, and he was like, oh, hey, my agent is doing it's called a workout, where you go in and you do a couple, like they give you a script, you go prepare it, you come back in, you record it in the booth, and then you get feedback. It's just a way to get seen by an agent and like practice a workout. So I went and did it, and I kept going back every week because I was having a lot of fun. And I think probably like maybe it was pretty quick, like maybe the second or third time the agent was like, I got an audition for you tomorrow. Came in, did the audition for her, booked the job, and then just kind of went from there. I just started booking voiceover, and I was like, this is amazing. I'm finally an actor. I love this. And that was awesome. And then it came to a screeching halt just almost as quickly as it started. Like I booked for a long time and I booked steady and I was the voice of a brand for a long time. And then a couple years ago, just it dried up for me. And that's when I started to think, okay, now I have to like not something else. I'm still throwing in auditions and I'm still with the same agent. We're at a different agency and I still, do all my auditions and everything. It's just, it's man, so competitive. And I can't tell you what I did differently because I went and got coaching and the coaches were like, no, you're doing everything I would tell you to do. You sound great. I don't know. Your equipment sounds fine. So then I started focusing on my women's self-defense and coaching and that kind of stuff. So that's, I'm like in the middle of this whole, I feel so old to be saying this. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with myself.
No, I don't think there's room to feel bad. Not that I'm saying you sound like you feel bad, but figuring something out is for creative souls.
Yes. I've tried to go the traditional route and I lasted just weeks and I'm like, nope, not for me. Sorry. Can't do it. So yeah.
Right. And I was just talking to Esteban Oriol, the photographer.
Mm-hmm.
He's like pandemic. I'm a freelancer all my life. I'm used to this shit.
It's all the same. Right.
But at least you have, a support system, a mental support system in your husband.
Yeah.
You found jiu-jitsu and then, it's just figuring it out, and just really what I'm learning, Dawna, is it really is having that network and making sure they're cool folks.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, a support system is huge, especially right now when we can't train.
Right, and it's one of those things because this because of the entertainment plight that you had. Sometimes you're friends and you connect to people because there might be an advantage in your future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Did that ever?
You never know when something's going to present itself. For sure.
Right, and that I'm sure that compiles into the entertainment route at that time.
Yeah. I keep having to tell myself that even though I'm in San Diego, I'm like, it's not gone. Like the entertainment world is different. It's one of those things that even though it's centered in Hollywood, it expands to everywhere. So in my moments of, oh my God, am I giving up my dream and what am I doing? And that I have to remind myself, like, first of all, you do voiceover. So you can be anywhere when you do that. And secondly, Hollywood is a location, but it's not at the same time.
Yeah, and your network and friends are like pistons to your engine. You got to be around people that, even though it's not tangible, but you see it and they're just fucking supportive because they struggled also.
Yeah.
So that's important. And the news with Joe Rogan, almost 100
he's
million.
Leaving YouTube.
He's only going to be posting JRE clips. But all the full videos is now on Spotify, and it's a little bit above 100 million. So
what? Everybody's leaving for Spotify. Last podcast on the left. Left for them sometime in the last 6 months, I feel like.
Yeah.
Do you listen to them?
I've heard them, but I have like so many podcasts on the docket.
Me too. Sometimes I go through my episodes and I'm like, I got to delete half of these.
Yeah. I mean, I go through so much, man.
I had to unsubscribe from Joe. He puts out so much content that I go and I listen to what I want to listen to because it was like filling up my iPad was like, can't handle it. Stop it.
Right. Yeah. And I'm a hoop head. I'm a beat head. Uh-huh. So I listen to like mixes on SoundCloud. I listen to basketball pods. So it's
oh wow,
nonstop.
Yeah,
hey, I wanted to ask you. What's that?
I like true crime.
True crime's dope.
Yes,
but that's a you better check your chakra. Did I have my chip transfusory to consume this whole goddamn episode with true crime? How fucking LA was that? God damn.
I'm so LA. Don't worry about it. Somebody said to me the other day, I can't remember what they asked me, but I was like, oh, I'm a little hippie. No, I'm kind of more witchy. I think I'm like a little paganish, witchy, hippie-ish. And they were like, you're just from LA, you asshole. And I was like, yeah.
Totally. Hey, did you ever promote at clubs before?
Yes.
at the Century Club?
Yes. How did you know that?
God damn it. I think I've seen you at the club before. I'm 44.
Yes, I'm 43. So back in Century Club heyday, right?
Yeah,
so
I'm talking
circa
motherfuckers
2000. Yeah.
motherfuckers grabbing women's elbows and go, hey, let me holla at you. Let me holla at
Yes.
you. Let me
Yes.
holla.
Yes.
That
Yes.
period.
Circa 99, 2000-ish. I was one of the promoters of the Century Club and Duets and Vesuvius, like all of those hot clubs back then. I was part of a promotion team.
Yeah, so you got to give me props for research and remembering.
I am so impressed because that was 20 years ago. That was 20 years ago in LA.
And this is how similar our plight was. I used to throw events at the Conga Room when it was on Wilshire and Bray.
Yes! I loved the Conga Room.
Like the Roots,
Yes.
KRS-One.
Yeah.
That's why when I was doing research with you, I'm telling you, like, dude, people need to hear her story.
Yeah. So back in, like I said, around from 98 to 2000, I was part of a promotion crew. I was part of a couple of them, and oh man, everything that was hot back in Hollywood back then. And it was like when Jay-Z was coming up, and I remember him performing at the Century Club once, and it was right around the time of H to the Izzo, that one.
Right.
And it was so badass to see him perform. And like the venue's so small, we were on top of each other. And it was right around the time when he did the mashup of Linkin Park. And I was so in that circle that somehow I missed them, like that performance. And I was so pissed at everybody that I'm like, how did everybody let me miss that? Because I was out 7 nights a week. 7 nights a week. I remember joking with my friends. We were standing outside of, what was the one on Sunset on La Cienega, across the street from Vesuvius. It was
on La Cienega. See, yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, like Melrose and La Cienega. Anyway, we're standing outside of it, and one of my friends was like, we saw a group of girls, and she was like, club girls. And I was like, wait, dude, the only reason you know those are club girls is because we see them out every single night of the week.
and that's like the crazy vibe of being like a promoter, dude.
Yeah. Zizix? That was the name of a club, I think. I don't remember.
Sunset and La Cienega. Yeah.
Melrose and La Cienega.
Oh, Melrose and La Cienega.
This was back before Uber. This was back before everybody had their like iPhones. Man, promoting must be so easy right now. Because back then we had to like literally hand out flyers to people and then create physical written guest lists. And then you would get judged on your guest list. I remember somehow I got a phone call from a group of girls and I put them on the list at the Century Club. And then one of the other promoters came up to me. Like, I guess there was a person at the door who like passed judgment on people. And they came up to me and they were like, you don't get credit for these girls because they were not good looking enough. Like straight up, they were like, don't ever invite them again. And I was like, okay, well, give me the list so I can mark them off.
And this is a list for people who don't know.
The guest list. The guest list to get in.
This is a guest list to where that was hypocritical because that told you.
The guest list was it. Yeah. There was a guest list to get in the door, but there was also a guest list to get into VIP, which were two different things. VIP at the Century Club was upstairs. There was the club downstairs for, the plebes. And then the cool people were upstairs. That's where all the rappers went.
Right. The Conga Room had like a cigar room.
Yes.
That was like the LA Forum Playboy Club room for the basketball folks.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally. Yeah.
So
oh my gosh, I miss those days. That was so much fun.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm listening to new music because I'm still, connected to the youth and radio. It is a different era. I used to be grumpy and be like, well, you guys don't know shit. But you guys don't know Diggable Planets, Tribe Called Quest, the Neptunes.
Oh, so good. When rap was good.
Right. But it's just, I've grown to learn that, you know what, man, it's just a different era.
Yeah, for
different
sure.
page.
For sure.
Okay, so it's now time for a quick break. While you're waiting this out at home with us at Believe, you can still have some fun with betting. Do it at betonline.ag. There's no NBA, NHL, or MLB. You might think there's nothing to do, but we got you. BetOnline still has hundreds of places to wager, including their online casino with poker and blackjack. It's not only that, sports aren't only done. There's so much more, right? There's EA Sports, which has been up and coming. Don't sleep on EA Sports. American Idol. Another contest type show like Big Brother. There's also the elections. And there's 750,000 poker series. There is still fun to be had, so go to betonline.ag. Use the promo code MyPod100 will hook you up to receive your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Again, that's betonline.ag and use the promo code MyPod100. BetOnline, your online wagering experts. What ended up bringing you to San Diego?
I was offered a position with the 10th Planet Freaks. So well, there was a plan. They were going to open up another location, and they asked me to come down and help run it right before the pandemic. The deal fell through, and I was already in the process of moving. So they were like, well, just come down and work with us anyway. So then I came down, and they were like, we'll put you over at 10th Planet Spring Valley, where PJ Barch is the head coach and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I am now. My first week was literally the week we had to shut down. So it's still a brand new experience for me. I think we're still trying to find a place for me and you know what that's going to look like. I would like to do their events and obviously coach for them and things like that. So it's a little bit of a evolving process, because why I originally came down here, it has changed. And because of the pandemic, everything in the world has changed. And I've also had to come to, you know, it was great because I've had a lot of time to think, like, what do I want to do with myself, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And that's when I was like, you know, I really miss podcasting, and I really miss being creative and doing that kind of stuff. So as much as I love jiu-jitsu, and that will never go away, and I'll always do jiu-jitsu, and I'll always be a part of 10th Planet and the team and all that kind of stuff, and now the Freaks, and I really love being a part of their team. I'm taking this opportunity to figure out, like, where else can I layer things in my life that are going to make me happy.
Right. And what was Pasadena? Were you a part owner of that?
No, I was just a coach for them. Our women's self-defense company, or our women's self-defense program, was kind of housed there. Lila, my partner at 10 PWSD, is married to one of the head coaches. So those two, the Eric Ramey and Eric Cruz. Yeah, they own 10th Planet Pasadena. Lila's married to Eric Cruz. Lila and I were partners, and they were like, yeah, of course, host your, you know, women's self-defense classes. And I taught fundamentals for them. I was just a part of the team from the very beginning. A lot of people thought I was an owner, which would have been awesome, but no.
Sure. And I ask this more on the societal sense because, you know, you've been interviewed to death about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, so like, do you find a personality change and difference in students and how people run their lives in San Diego? Is it really slower where you feel today?
Well, the Freaks have created definitely a different culture down here that is different from HQ and Pasadena, which were the only two schools. I've been a part of HQ since 2007. So that's really my, where all of my reference comes from. I've been with Eddie for 12 years, and then Pasadena opened up and they ran very similar. The Freaks have their own culture down here. And like I said, I'm just getting to know it. I showed up the week we shut down, so I haven't even had a chance to be a part of their classes and their training and their culture. And other than I can tell you that I like everybody and they're all awesome. That's, you know, we've been shut down. So I've helped remodel the gym and answer the phones and call people and, you know, do t-shirt orders and stuff like that. But I haven't had a chance to really experience the full gamut of what it's like to be a part of their team.
Okay. But you were already close with the brothers, or you just knew them because of the community?
Yeah. I mean, I know that I've known them since they got into 10th Planet. I don't know. I'm friendly and friends with them. And like, you know, when I called them and we talked and everything, they were like, absolutely, your family, come down here. So it was, 10th Planet is a family, and I know everybody in 10th Planet. So it was just this opportunity. I was offered to me by the Bill Cooper, who owns the freak schools. Like he owns San Diego Combat Academy that houses the freak schools.
Okay.
So that's who offered me the job. And, you know, it was an opportunity to grow and try something new. And it was a little scary, and, you know, why not?
How'd your husband take it?
He loves it down here. He loves it down here way more than Los Angeles. So he's happy.
Oh, so he wasn't on the entertainment tip or?
Not at all. No, he's a personal trainer, and this, you know,
perfect.
so they were like, just come on down. You know, this is the perfect industry for you. And he's made some great connections down here, and he's having fun. And like I said, though, like we got here, we moved during the pandemic, so we haven't really experienced anything. Everybody's like, oh, how do you like San Diego? And I'm like, well, our house and the gym and the one grocery store that we've been to are fine. So that's really all I know so far. Yeah.
Yeah. And at least in that case, I've noticed if you think LA is health-based, I feel like just by driving and going to San Diego, it seems like San Diego would be a great fit for your husband.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's beautiful down here. People seem to like to work out, you know, as I'm slowly getting to know the members who are kind of trickling in and coming in to visit the gym. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good fit, and we'll find out.
Right. Now, in the essence of what keeps you sane as far as for just being at home, because for me, it's podcasting that's brought this metabolism at home. Sure. So is it just like copious planning? Do you overthink at night?
I way overthink. I've
Same
probably...
here.
You know, I don't have jiu-jitsu right now. So that's my outlet for everything. As long as I can do jiu-jitsu, like I can usually deal with everything. So I probably had more panic attacks, you know, moving from Los Angeles, changing my entire life, not having jiu-jitsu to have this outlet. And what have I been doing? I've been lifting a lot of weights, which is fine. It's not jiu-jitsu. It's fine. You know, I jump rope a lot, walk my dogs, and drink wine.
Hey man, no wine, no sanity.
Yeah. We've been watching a lot. I'm watching all the Marvel movies in chronological order. Chronological order.
21 movies, right?
I think so. There's a couple that I'm like, meh, I just skip that one.
Right.
We finished The Mandalorian, and we're just making our way through like all of our favorite movies.
Yeah, and at that point, I feel like you have to find the next rotative.
Yeah, I know. We'll have to find something. Well, you know, we watched The Handmaid's Tale, which did not help my stress levels. It's a dystopian future where it's based in America. It's based on a book, and it's like a really... The women of the world have lost their, like the fertility rates have gone down to almost nothing. So they've turned it into like this biblical slavery where any fertile woman who doesn't meet the standards of the church, or it's called Gilead, become handmaids, meaning basically concubines and surrogates to the upper class society. And it's not stressful to watch.
Right. Cause that's
so right in the middle of the pandemic, we were like, oh, let's try this show. And I couldn't stop watching, and I was so stressed out the whole time I was watching it.
Did you ever get into like Tiger King or whatever?
Definitely. We watched the Tiger King. That was amazing.
Oh, okay. Cause I haven't met it, and a lot of people have seen it.
What? I thought everybody, according to social media, everybody has seen it.
Totally, which is why I'm shocked. I'm shocked I haven't even seen it myself.
You haven't seen, you have to watch it.
No,
it's entertaining because you're just like, whoa, these people can't be any more shitty. Yes, they can. Oh my God, so can they. And they know even more shittier people, and they're all super shitty, and then they all keep these tigers in cages. And how the fuck do these people function?
Right, because it seems like it's filmed so beautifully to capture the tragedy of people's personas.
Yeah.
you have to watch it. There's layers of commentary there and a lot to unpack.
Okay. Now I got to ask you for the network's sake, all the martial arts stuff.
All the martial art. What about it?
Yeah. So like, do you ever get any interest in the gi? Are you?
I've never
no
put a
gi
gi
girl?
on. I'm no gi. I'm definitely no gi. I'm 12 years in. This is my 12th year in jiu-jitsu, and I've never put a gi on.
Because just lack of interest, or
a couple things, lack of interest. I'm sure I'll do it at some point. I spent so much time training and teaching that it wasn't like, if I wasn't training or teaching at a 10th planet, it was because I was doing something else that I couldn't do jiu-jitsu at that moment. So I'm not saying I won't. I'm not opposed to it. Like I'm not like, oh my God, I hate the gi. I don't really have a good answer for that other than I just haven't.
Like how is the view, because Eddie's the master, right? But how's the view from 10th planet folks of Jean-Jacques Machado?
Oh my gosh, Jean-Jacques is Eddie's master. So nothing but
higher?
Like reverence. Oh yeah, nothing but reverence for him. And he's amazing. And a lot of our people do train in the gi. I'm probably one of the few people who's never put on a gi.
You're talking about downtown LA, right?
I'm talking about just 10th planet people in general. But yeah, if we're talking about like the core headquarters people, yeah, I'm definitely one of the few people that's never put on a gi.
Right, because I'm shocked there isn't more crossover.
I think there's a lot of cross training. I think most of our schools only offer, I think some of them do offer like gi classes, but it's just part of our curriculum. Like we're a no-gi school. Our system is entirely no-gi. So I don't think I've never heard anybody be blatantly outright anti-gi. It's just that this is what we focus on. And this is where jiu-jitsu for MMA, and this is where we're focused. And it's just what it is. But I mean, most people I know cross-train.
Because I'm curious, maybe in the future, because we're riding this, I don't know, second, third wave post ADCC, Eddie Bravo tapping Euler. I'm curious if age and injury is going to factor to the no-gi people to matriculate to the gi later in life.
I can see that happening, except don't your fingers get all fucked up in the gi?
Absolutely. Well, everybody gets fucked up in no-gi.
True, I know, but if we're talking like injury, like I can't imagine being like, well, I'm so jacked up, let me go jack up my hands now. I think I would just be like, well, I'll just, love jiu-jitsu from a distance, do something else. I'm a little bit older though. So you know what I mean? I think that if I were 10 years younger or, in my mid 20s, that I would have a different outlook on it. But I'm actually looking like I'm planning on the end of my jiu-jitsu career at some point. I'm 43.
Sure.
And at some point, I'm not going to be able to tangle with 25-year-old dudes.
I get it. And with me, a lot of people don't know. Maybe I can seek advice from you. I got dumped on my head with a new Chamada throw.
Yeah.
So I herniated 6 discs in my neck. All the doctors said, let's fuse it.
Yeah.
I refuse not to. So what happens with me, that's why I'm still a white belt, is because I'll train for a month 2 times a week.
Sure.
And my neck needs a break for like 2 months.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
Then I need to restart again. That's why I only train limited with like purple belt and up who are like friendly. Do you think that
for sure.
Advice for me at that point is just to treat it as like this hobby?
I would imagine that you would have to. Yeah, you'd have to. But I also think that there's probably how much rehab have you done on your own as far as like things for your neck, like yoga and what's the thing when they
neck traction?
Yeah, traction and decompression and kind of stuff like that.
Spinal
Like
decompression.
Yeah, how much of that are you doing on your own?
I have my own TENS unit. I have a cervical pump. I forget the system where your pulley gets on your neck and
does that help?
A little bit. I don't know how much of it is placebo effect.
Sure. I imagine that if you did an equal amount of rehab to the amount of training that you're doing, you could at least balance out the pain a little bit.
Sure.
What do you think? I don't know. That's what I would do.
Yeah, and you know, because I got into jiu-jitsu because of Muay Thai,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I might be just one of those Billy Blanks people that hits the pads and spars at 20%. You know what I mean?
Sure. Absolutely. I think that that's the beautiful thing about jujitsu is it doesn't have to look the same for any two people, right? Some people do it for self-defense. Some people do it. I've talked to several people during this whole pandemic that they're like, I do this instead of taking mood stabilizer. So their reasons for doing it are completely different than everybody else. I didn't realize how much it had an effect on like my serotonin levels and cortisol levels and all that kind of stuff. Like, cause I've been feeling just all over the place. And some people are, you know, they're like, this is my career and I'm going to become a competitor. And some people want to be coach. I think it's different for everybody. And some people just do it because it's fun and they love it and they love the community and they know they're never going to be competitors and they know they're never going to be world champions, but that's not what it's about for them. I think that's why jiu-jitsu is beautiful.
So is there room for someone like our age group to start in no gi?
I think so. Why not?
Okay. Because I'm so driven. Most of my people that I train with are all Jean-Jacques Machado folks.
Yeah.
And it's gi based.
They're all awesome, by the way.
They're all awesome, you know, but they're all gi based.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? They all live in the San Fernando Valley. They all have kids.
Yeah.
They all grind from 8 to 5. So the mentality has driven me. And I feel like, you know, getting to know people like you and everyone else, I feel like there's this other equation I need to feel.
I think there's a room for everybody in any realm they want to be in, as long as they are. Actually, I put a little, just if you go back onto my Instagram page, if you scroll down, I made a video because I was having this conversation with people. Like I would have women, you know, close to my age come into class and try it for the first time. And they felt like, because they were brand new and maybe a little bit older, a little bit out of shape, or older guys come in and feel like they were taking other people's training time away from them by being on the mats. They're, you know, like you'd go show and they're like, no, I don't want to take away from anybody. And my response then and will always be, you're allowed to take up space anywhere that you are being genuine and real. So even though you come into training, it might not be appropriate for you to pair up with somebody who's training for a UFC fight or ADCC or something like that, or, you know, a high level grappler who needs to go hard and have competitors go hard on them. But that doesn't mean you don't have a right to be on the mats and take up space on the mats, and that there's not something that they can learn from you. That's the process of jiu-jitsu is such a parallel to life that if you're not continually evolving and learning things from people at different levels and recognizing that we all have the right to be on space, nobody owns jiu-jitsu. It belongs to everybody. So if you need it to be a certain way for you, then you have that right to be like that. You shouldn't not jump into a class just because you feel like that you would be taking away something from other people who are on the mats. They can find a partner who's better suited for them. Of course they can. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be there.
Because I belong to the school where it felt like, oh, you know what? You can train in no gi once you get your blue belt in the gi.
Sure.
There used to be the old school, mid-school mentality.
Yeah, everybody
right?
has, you know, some people don't teach white belts leg locks. That's up to the coach. I mean, I have my own opinions on it, but who am I to impose my opinions on anybody else? Do I think it's silly that you make people wait until they're blue belt to do no gi? Sure. But I also don't know anything about the gi. And I'm not the one that came up with that. And there could be so many different reasons. Maybe they're political, maybe they don't make sense, maybe they're stupid, or maybe there's a really good reason that I'm not seeing and that I haven't thought about. And if I sat down and talked to that coach and they were like, well, this is why, I'd be like, oh, okay, I get it. I don't know. I'm such a like do you and do what's best for you and don't fuck with anybody else's journey that, you know, I'm like, yeah, whatever. If it works for you, you do it. And if it doesn't, figure some shit out.
Yeah. And I think that's amazing for like, I used to watch a bunch of kids on EBI.
Mm-hmm.
I won't name names so that way it's stay politic free. Like some of the kids just dropped out because it's like, you know what? I prefer this sport.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of the parents. They just reached out via Facebook of all places.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? And I was just like, dude, maybe they'll come back. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they won't. But, it's just, today you're a bit of a quote machine, because you're talking about how jiu-jitsu doesn't own you,
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing for you to be open-faced about that, where it's like, hey, there is a post-life to Dawna that I got to watch out for,
Hey, and I didn't even consider that part of that post jiu-jitsu until I really started having to assess a lot of things that I have to find something positive in the upheaval of everything that just happened in the last couple months.
Sure.
And that's part of it, is that I'm like, hey, I do exist outside of jiu-jitsu, and I need to find layers of my life again.
Yeah. And that's why I like to, if you notice, a lot of my pods are based on their life also.
Yeah, for sure. It has to be balance, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it adds more layers
For sure
to the bloom. So for me, I just felt like I'm excited to you with your podcast journey and that feeling. So
I'm excited too.
Is it emerging like this, where the other subjects are going like this? Is it becoming like?
I don't know. I think mat therapy was its own thing, and it was really successful in its own right. So I'm not trying to duplicate mat therapy.
Very successful.
Mat therapy was. Thank you. Mat therapy was me and Becky. So I'm not sure. I mean, maybe if I do a version of mat therapy on my own, it'll be one thing, but I'm never going to try and compete with what it was. Like, we had a really special thing. We were in Joey Diaz's studio. There were two of us. It was awesome. But what if podcasting opens up other things? Like, there's a whole world of interesting subjects that I'd like to learn about. So I could do that too.
Yeah.
I'll talk about.
I know I'm taking a lot of your time, so
no, this is great.
If you could, once we're done, if you can give me 5 minutes after I hit
absolutely
record, so I can pass a bunch of stuff, so you can have this buffet, and then you choose the food you want to take in.
Yeah.
But as far as for mat therapy, how is the relationship with Becky? Was it tepid after that?
No, we're good. I was
just clean
on Zoom with her. Yeah, I was on FaceTime with her yesterday. We're still super good friends. Mat therapy ending had nothing to do with any kind of turmoil between me and Becky. Okay. Becky got hurt and she couldn't do jiu-jitsu anymore. Yeah, she couldn't do jiu-jitsu anymore. And so it just affected her. She had to rehab her neck and do some stuff over there. And then she got into a relationship and she started a new job. And so it wasn't, there was nothing negative that happened. Life just kind of unfolds itself sometimes. And there was no, to me, and in that time, there was no mat therapy without me and Becky. And so it just didn't, at the time, it wasn't like we're ending mat therapy. It was like, we're going to put it on hold for a little while. And then life just took over.
Sure. And I think that's what people need to hear, because the facade of social media burnout, it's always an impression.
Sure.
But the value of you talking with your ebb and flow in life, and you being, it's so, I hate to say it like this, it's so fucking macho that, like, man, I'm donezo with that. I did this, I'm planning this. Yeah. That's the beautiful part to the long form life of Dawna Gonzales.
Thank you. I think it's being an actor. You continually move on from projects. Like, it's like, either that worked, but now it's over, or this one didn't work and now I got to move on and find something else creative to do. It's part of like rolling with the punches.
Right. And it's awesome to see that someone holds everything as a slice to the whole pizza pie. Where sometimes people become voracious, which is natural. Like, I get into jiu-jitsu, that's 80% of my life. Work, I'm a zombie, and then I'm going to do jiu-jitsu. But there is room for truer personalities to say, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Jiu-jitsu is this much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not as cultish and more objective in the scope.
For sure. I will say that for a long time, jiu-jitsu, probably for the last 3 or 4 years, jiu-jitsu was like the giant piece of my pie. And only
only recently I'm like, hey, I gotta maybe I gotta add a salad in there and some other side dishes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we can treat this as maybe we can do this once every few months, or
I'd love that. That would be awesome. Who knows what we're going to talk about in 3 months from now?
Sure, because right now we're currently in a pandemic. So not to be cliffhanger for the listening audience, but I hope you guys end up getting fulfilled like Dawna, because there is a rhythm and path to life, and sometimes you just can't be succinct about one thing. It's the whole scope.
Yeah.
So anywhere else where they can get a hold of you?
Oh, yeah. I'm all over social media. Dawna Gonzales, Dawna with a W, Dawna Gonzales 10P on everything. I think on Twitter I'm just 10 because there was not enough characters, but Dawna Gonzales either 10 or 10P.
And Dawna is spelled not Donna, it's Dawna.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And I also have a website where people can contact me for not just jiu-jitsu and self-defense coaching, but I call it like empowerment coaching. I hate the word life coaching.
Please
but
promote.
It's about I want to help people figure out a way to live their best, most authentic self, which I guess is life coaching. Sure. Well, I'm actually working on something right now. I have a secret project. It's just in the works with she's another jiu-jitsu lady. She's from 10th Planet Burbank, and she is a trauma healing coach. So she works with women who have been through traumatic experiences, like maybe sexual assault or just any kind of trauma healing. And she and I are joining forces to create a program for women to not only heal and move through any past experiences that they had, but then add in that layer of badass that jiu-jitsu and self-defense brings you. So I do have something on the horizon that I'm not quite ready to talk about yet, but we're working on it. Yeah.
And also on your website, as far as for women's empowerment, that's the old guard of your Dawna Gonzales's women's empowerment. That's more psychological, or was that in combination of self-defense also already?
Yeah. I think that at least the way that I work with people is the physical and the mental are the same thing. You have to address both. I know that for me personally, I have to. I can't just address my physical and not address my mental in the same thing. I can't address my mental if I'm not working out my physical body. For me, those are one and the same thing.
Thanks for tuning in to the show, and please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. We're also available on your favorite directories aside from iTunes, such as Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Luminary, and TuneIn. You can find us at Believe.com. That's BLEAVE.com. And Believe Podcasts on social media. Now, if you want to get at me personally, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Plug12. That's PLUGONETWO. Hit me up and I'll read your questions, or maybe even have you on the show. Believe in the fight game.